All right, everyone, we are supposedly live. Again, as usual, we must, however, check in the other tab to make sure that it actually goes. You never know. It is YouTube. They're too busy banning people to fix all of the site issues these days, so. Okay, I am actually live. Glory be. Anyway, this is the usual weekly Q&A show, so there will be super chats enabled. And you can send in a super chat, ask questions, give commentary, and so forth, or just hand me money for no reason. I don't understand. Why would you send me super chat and not do at least a comment? At least just a troll. Kevin Street, first comment of the day. Sneed, seed, and feed, formerly Chuck's. Not Bart's shart and fart, by the way. BitChute cup, that's what I'm talking about. Need to collect mugs. I'm going to join Crowder's mug club and then get one from Lionel too. I'm just going to have a bunch of mugs in the background instead of dangerous amounts of caffeine. But yes, I will be answering super chats predominantly, so that'll take a couple minutes while people filter in, usually right at the outset. Over 100 people already watching, so we're already past Beijing Biden. And slow mode is on. That may not make sense at first. But it makes sense after a few minutes when there are 1,000 people watching. Ivy saying, so there's no point in the standard chat. Well, I mean, I am paying attention to it, but the thing is, when you've got thousands of people that will join the live stream, if I just were to do general Q&A with the actual chat, it wouldn't make really sense because there are going to be too many people actually leaving comments. I was reluctant to do the super chat thing. I don't care if someone just gives me $1 or something, but there's no other way for me to keep pace with the comments, especially not to flesh out my thoughts because, you know, I tend to be a ranter. I tend to do long form. So it's more difficult for me to do a few sentences like a terse sort of interaction. Yuji Nara, with everything going on in the USA, do you see any other way to correct the path we are on? Because it feels like we are running out of options. Well, the path is being corrected. You saw the California case literally just the other day where their assault weapons ban was thrown out as unconstitutional. Things in many ways are moving in the right direction. Twitter's got egg on its face right now as well because of their being banned by the Nigerian government for interfering in their political situation. And they're being called hypocrites, you know, fairly squarely because they're calling access to the free and open internet a human right. Things are always darkest before dawn. Buttfucker 3000, when are you going to be on Tim Pool IRL? Well, if I was in the States, I would do that. But the thing is, like, I mean, I'm in Amsterdam. I'm not in, I think, is he in California, New Jersey? I can't remember exactly where he is located, but he does in person, not remote. Winston Fujimori, would you go on the Kill stream to debate Nick Fuentes on the China issue? Maybe. I already debated him on religion once. That was fun, by the way. I like Nick Fuentes' commentary. It's funny. Alexander Pate, I require a standard clank of blessing, my lord. I don't have a spoon handy, but I got a pen, so close enough, I suppose. A faux clank, an ersatz clank for the day. Animander Rake, are you enjoying Amsterdam's infamous red light district sticks? Spent many a happy weekend there myself. No, I've never been there, and I don't want to, because I have a feeling I'd be depressed by the depravity. That's not my scene. I'm not into partying. I'm not into, you know, seeing drunk British tourists and stuff like that. I really prefer quietness more. You'll find me, you're more likely to find me sitting next to a church, ironically, than in the red light district. That's just not my sort of thing. For some reason, this is not scrolling properly. Here, just a sec. I've got a little bit of a possible glitch here. What the hell? Phil Scott, Vermont. Howdy from Vermont. Yeah, poor Phil. Did you see that Vermont is trying to let non-citizens vote in local and municipal elections? Which technically it's not unconstitutional or anything. I just think that it's a terrible idea. Actually, it was funny because people were jumping down Phil Scott's throat at first, but he was blocking several attempts. I think it was Montpelier and was it Winooski or Manchester? I can't remember. Montpelier and one other area wanted that to happen. And what he did is he threw that out. But his veto, actually, he encouraged them to pass an omnibus legislation so it would be all communities throughout Vermont. So basically, if you're in Rutland or something, You don't have the right to say that people who are actually voting for representation are the people that are paying for the representation. According to Phil Scott, total sellout, total moron. And keep in mind, of course, he's just grandstanding. He's a rich dude. He's got like, what, $3-4 million bucks in the bank? He sold his interest in his business before. He's a millionaire, or multimillionaire rather. He's got a lot of money. He doesn't have to deal with the consequences of fucking with Vermont communities the way that other people do. And he should be ashamed of himself. Marty McGill. I believe Twitter is seriously panicking as another card in the house of cards falls. Their stock is queasy at best. Yeah, I'd rather buy crypto. I'd rather buy crypto when it's rising than buy Twitter stock. I should buy some just as a form of irony. Do you still get like a piece of paper saying your share totals like they did back in the old days? I know that you can, like on eBay and stuff, you can buy old stock certificates from like 100 years ago from defunct companies. And it's kind of cool, like railroad stock and stuff. I've thought of actually collecting a few of those. Tobacco stock, cotton stock, Peruvian rice stock. That'd be cool. That would definitely be a conversation piece for your lounge. The Human Centipede, welcome back. Hey again, Styx. It's currently 4:51 a.m. in California. Did you hear about Newsom not giving up his emergency powers, even though California will be fully open on 6/15? Yeah, he never give them up. See, here's the problem. You give emergency powers to a government official, they'll always try to keep them. We're still technically in a state of emergency from the post-9/11 era. The continuation of that has been renewed every single friggin' time that it's up for renewal. You'd think that Osama was still alive. Honk, honk. Sungsation. Does pointing out left-wing or corporate hypocrisy even do anything? We've been doing that for the past 4+ years. Well, actually, yes, it does. It's become far more common that it's called out. It used to be more like a meme. It was like, some people on 4chan or joking about Nike or something like that. Now it's mainstream. You can even see it on left-wing Twitter. Even in their echo chamber, it happens now. It's working. Satire works. That's why the satirists and comedians are the first people to get banned by the censorship lovers. I pointed that out, I think, half a decade ago. Buttfucker 3000. Pentagon declassified tons of UFO info. Congress hearing coming up soon. What percent of 100% certain are you that we're not alone in the universe? I am 100% certain that we're not alone in the universe. Not only is there life out there, there's intelligent life and probably life more sophisticated than us. But it's nowhere near us. Now, we have no evidence that that's the case. Even if it were, like, we're probably like we'd be a zoo. Maybe we're the conversation piece. They keep us alive as an interesting, like we're a throwback. They look at us like being interesting hominids, and some other alien species nearby in the galaxy claims ownership here, and they don't wipe us out because they're like, hey, look at these morons over here. Look how funny they are. They have what's called philosophy. they have crayons. That would be interesting. That's possible. We wouldn't know. They could have stealth technology. Like, technology's nowhere near peak. They always say we're at peak technology. Every generation says that. The ironclad at one point was never going to be replaced by better technology. Joe Biden's dentures. When you do Timcast in real life, punch Tim in the nuts and scream, Andy No says hello. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that fracas. I did point out Andy No did nothing wrong. He's got the right to walk down the street. I know he didn't have his security with him or whatever, but what good's it going to do? Protection? Some people are saying you should have had protection before he went into the Antifa zone. How many people, if you got a mob of hundreds of Antifa members and they really want to beat you down, what do you think 2 or 3 dudes is going to do? Nothing. They're all going to get beaten down. It doesn't matter if they're big, brawny, Proud Boy sort of dudes that are twice the size of the average Antifa member. Antifa members are like parasites. They're like insects, like cockroaches or something. Now, I can step on a cockroach. I can step on 2 or 3 cockroaches. But if I open the door and there's a million cockroaches swarming everywhere, I'm not going to try to stomp them. I'm gonna wander off and be like, what the fuck? Why should I fucking deal with this? That's a problem. The Human Centipede. What are your thoughts on the governor of South Dakota, Kristi Noem? She seems to be overshadowed by DeSantis, but she's also done a good pandemic job. Wasn't she the one that also briefly stood against wokeness, but then backed down? I know Marjorie Taylor Greene did that once, but she gets a pass. I think Kristi Noem did that at one point early on in the wokeness debate over, was it schooling or something like that? I do like her as far as the COVID response, though. They never had a mask mandate. And it's funny because keep in mind, if you look at the per capita death rates, not a huge difference between that and a lot of other intermediate states. Actually, the ones that locked down the most had the biggest problems. Places like New York, New Jersey, places run by Democrats. Oh no, it's skipping down. Alex Karras. Hey, Styx, did you ever see the song I made making fun of Adam Friended not being able to see your name? No, I don't think that I did. I can look that up potentially later. So yes, there is apparently a song about that. Alex Karras channel. People can check that out. The Grizzly. Hey, Styx, I was wondering, where do you think the populist America First movement is headed? If local elections are a future indicator of things. Well, did you see that the McAllen mayoral office just got seized by Republicans? Now, as someone who lived within a short distance of McAllen, that's strong Dem territory. Now, I realize that Republican and populist aren't always the same thing, but that's basically where the movement's coming from. The America First thing seems to be making inroads mainly with Hispanics right now, which is the most hilarious thing ever. And by the way, it has the Democrats terrified, which is why they're doing the BIPOC newspeak propaganda thing, because they're terrified of losing control of their serfs. They're terrified of losing control of people who are only Democrats because they've been injected with IDPOL, identity politics, saying, hey, these white people over here don't like you, so you should vote for us, even though we too are overwhelmingly white, which is the case with the Democratic leadership. That's the only thing that they have. It's not welfare. You know, people don't like to be patronized. I'm some middle class, person, a second gen immigrant. My parents are from Mexico or something. I don't want to be talked down to as though I need welfare. No, I want lower taxes. I want to invest in a business. I want to grow and prevail and build something. And the Democrats don't offer that to anyone, so they've got some big problems. When they're losing McAllen, again, go to McAllen sometime, or don't if you choose to. See how many Republicans you see there. It's like what, 10% of the population probably, and that's more probably right leaning than some other parts of the Rio Grande Valley. Opinionated junkie. Protests still going on after Derek verdict. Lol. Yeah, they'll be protesting forever. Well, it's peaceful but fiery protests. Yeah, Wendy's burned down, but it smelled good while it was burning until the plastic ignited. Buttfucker 3000. Andy Knows should have bought Chuck Norris 100 soy Tifa thugs or toothpicks for one roundhouse kick. Yeah, I mean, if you have a couple of brawny bodyguards or something, that's fine. But I mean, here's my question for the commentators jumping down Andy Knows' throat. Should he have to hire security or rely upon muscle or among his fans or something just to walk down a fucking street? No, of course not. He should be able to go where the fuck he wants. And I loved it when the leftists were like, well, he antagonized them. He was trying to cause a riot. These people have been rioting nonstop for more than a year. They don't need to be antagonized. They'll call for him to be killed, literally speaking. They'll even graffiti it on a fucking police cruiser. If he's 1,000 miles away, he could be in the Caribbean and they'll still be talking about him. He lives rent-free in their heads, and he has nothing. He shouldn't have to hide himself. What's he supposed to do? Sit in his apartment, twiddle his thumbs, whack off all day because he's not allowed to go outside because it might antagonize the leftists that are burning Wendy's anyway? I don't know. I just think that it's regrettable that there are people who think that we should be appeasing the far left. No thanks. If they try to block your car, there are things you can do about that. You shouldn't have to sit there cowering with your thumb up your ass. The Human Centipede. I think Kristi Noem could be a presidential candidate in the far future, hopefully after Trump 2024 and DeSantis 2028. She's only 49, so she's got time. Yeah, by congressional standards, certainly that'd be very, very young. By gubernatorial standards, more middling. It's possible. It's definitely, but the thing is, that many years in the future, is having been good on COVID going to be enough to carry a presidential candidate? I don't think so. I think if Trump doesn't run, DeSantis is very likely to run, probably wins. I would vote for him, definitely. Cruz is more likely after that. And I'm not a huge fan of Ted Cruz. I'm not sure that I'd be able to vote for him. It kind of depends on the lesser of two evils of who his challenger is at that point. Not taken in by his car salesman bullshit. Sort of like little Marco, something like that. He's little Marco, but more impressive. He can actually grow a beard. Have you seen little Marco's now got the scraggly thing going on where he's got like the 7 o'clock shadow? It's hilarious. He's the kind of person who has lifts in his shoes. I mean, as a non-Republican, I gotta say, there are some really pathetic, cowardly bullshit artists in the Republican Party. More actually than the Democrats. The Democrats are more likely to be insane or evil. The Republicans are more likely to be cucks, to be pathetic, honestly. Mark Irzhevek, what do you think of the ADL? They can suck my ass. Anal Dookie League. That's what the ADL is. They're morons. They think everything is racist as long as they can make money off of that label. Georgi Georgiev. Hello, Styx. East EU fan here. What do you think of East Europe countries? Did you learn anything about us since you are here? Balkans, for example. Bulgarian here. Cheers. Well, Liz is a big fan of Eastern Europe. Yes, very much so. Brutalism, sort of the anything post-Soviet. Yeah, and actually I am too. Like, I literally have a bar of soap, no joke, from Latvia when it was under Soviet occupation back in the mid-'80s or something. Spodra. Is still a company, apparently. I'm assuming that the soap is better now. I've thought about washing with it just as a joke on video or something. You know, you only see me from here up, you know. I've thought about doing that. I've actually got pins from the Soviet Union. I know that's not Eastern Europe at large. I've wanted to visit like Poland, like especially the Carpathian region, because I'm assuming the food must be great, number one, but also the scenery. Eastern Europe is cool. High radiation, but that just makes it better. I want to go and buy, you know, an AK-47 and a gas mask and go full stalker. Byron 8899. Federal judge overturned California law 3 decades that banned assault weapons, claimed it violates the Second Amendment. Democrat leaders aren't happy. Yeah, I talked about that briefly at the outset. That's one of the greatest decisions so far this year. Regards California's ban on assault weapons. Now, the way they define it is a little bit different from most places. With them, it's certain cosmetic features associated with an AR or AK or similar platform. So if it just has a pistol grip, it's not an assault weapon. But if it also has a scope, it is. If it just has a suppressor, it's not an assault weapon. But if it also has a 30-round magazine, it is. If it has a folding stock or something like that, it doesn't necessarily make it an assault weapon, but it would if it had the pistol grip too. It makes no sense. Their law makes 0 sense whatsoever. I'm glad that it got overturned. Although it is automatically an injunction issued for 30 days, they've already decided to appeal. Newsom and others are going to appeal this. It will go to a higher court now. I don't think that their ban will hold. I think it will get thrown out. I think this is a big victory. The fact that the judge even decided this after 3 decades is a victory in and of itself. I think the California ban on sporting rifles, which is really what they are, won't hold up. I think they'll use other state laws as precedents. I think it'll be pretty big win. Potty Mouth Meskin. Yo, Styx, big hug from Fort Worth, Texas. Texas Roadhouse Steakhouse on me if you swing by. That sounds good. I like steak. I've learned how to cook a decent steak, actually, too. Marinated all day with various herbs and spices. Eliza Besmenisham. Do you think there will be a 2024 election that resembles our traditional elections? That depends on people's willingness to get out now and affect local and state, especially legislative bodies in the here and now. It is impossible to fortify every state's election, but it is possible to fortify the election at large if not enough people on the ground have been active prior. Right now, people need to focus on state houses, mayoral races, gubernatorial races, local state legislatures like the state senators and Congress people, housing authorities, school boards. They need to take all of these things over. It's not even hard. Turnout, do you realize what the turnout is in the actual, like a mayoral election? The turnout certainly for nominating people to some local city councils, like probably 15%. You can easily take these things over. Use that power as a springboard to attack other power structures and undermine the whole system from the bottom. The problem is that people are very distracted by shiny things, and the shiny thing is the multi-billion-dollar ad campaigns, the ad grabs of the Senate, the House, and the presidency in national elections. Don't even think about those until before 2024. First, go for the lower level races. Take over every state house. Take over every mayor's office. Take over the sheriffs. Take over the city councils, housing authorities, school boards. Get rid of wokeness. Fight them from the ground up in your communities. You hold more communities by far than the far left could ever hold. They're locked into a handful of cities, but they rule things because they have more population in those areas. And a bunch of states that, because of those heavily, densely populated areas, have a lot of electoral points. That's how the left does it. Do it in the opposite manner. Do it from the ground up. True populism. That'll work. I guarantee it'll work. And it'll take less effort. It's just less flashy, and that's why people don't do it. Mark Erzhevik, are you still friends with Stefan Molyneux? I still like his work, although I haven't heard from him as much, because I mean, he's not on Twitter or anything. I don't even know if I have contact information for him at the moment. Should probably look into that. But the problem is, when the deep state doesn't like you, what they try to do is cut you off from as many avenues as possible simultaneously, so that you can't even contact other people for help. And that seems to be, it happened to him, it happened to Alex Jones, it's happened to others as well. It jumped again. Big Ugly Clowno, do you read poetry? What are your favorite outdoor places in Vermont? Hikes, ponds, etc. Also, did you take a lame postmodern lit class at UVM? I'm wondering if we had any electives together. No. I never took postmodern lit. I actually, most of the English courses that I took AP English in high school, so I already had some basic credit. Mostly I took, I think, 3 or 4 courses when I was at Castleton College, now Castleton University. I think I have 50 credits in English, actually, because I was going to go for a minor, potentially, in that. I don't remember taking any at UVM. It's been a while since I was there. As far as going out poetry, I'm not a huge fan of. I like Poe. It's sort of basic bitch mode, stuff like that. I like short stories better, like a Mask of the Red Death sort of thing. Lovecraft. That's more my gig. As far as outdoor places in Vermont, pretty much anywhere. Vermont's very scenic. That's one of the big advantages of the state. Cannot West. You pointed out that virus lockdowns didn't work, but if you check Norway versus Sweden stats, Norway 800 deaths, Sweden 14,000. Similar countries. Looks like it worked for the purpose there. Well, no, it didn't work. Here's the problem. Number one, you're looking at 2 different countries that have different methodology for testing, different approaches to determining whether a person died of COVID. This has been a problem because in some countries, if you tested positive and then died of a heart attack, your death is listed as COVID. Because the idea is, well, if they didn't have COVID, the heart attack wouldn't have resulted. It is the cause of the secondary problem. In some countries, they don't do that. And so, unfortunately, we get this massively skewed data. And the lockdown can prevent transmission, potentially at some level. But then you have the Munich study that shows that it didn't really do anything at all. And so you've got a little bit of a contravention. It almost is determined by how you test people, what test you use, how many tests are conducted per capita. The Human Centipede, thoughts on the Pokemon trading card boom? You think if anyone has any old cards they sold, sell now or hold on to them? It's like stock and crypto. Yeah, they can still be worth a lot. I had a whole shit ton of Pokemon cards. Unfortunately, I won't get into why I don't have them still, but they were swiped, so to speak. Then I had to sell all the basic ones that I still had at a pawn shop actually years ago, because that was during the period when I was dirt poor. So I don't have my Pokemon trading cards anymore. I had a couple there that I think were considerably rare. I had one, can't remember the fucking card. It was some sort of weird misprint and it had bizarre patterns on it and stuff. And I know it wasn't like a fake card or anything. It was fully certified. It came from a box. There was some weird stuff with Pokemon. So I sort of matured, though. I don't really care about Pokemon anymore. Adonis Adams, have you ever heard of the vortex method, the art of stirring your coffee with chopsticks instead of a spoon? Lol. That sounds like heresy to me. Khalid Cooper, $9.99, no comment, thank you. Oh, it jumped again. God, I hate it when it does that. KBG Revolver, is Trump being back in office by August of this year likely or just a meme? That is a meme. And the idea, by the way, that he's really fomenting that, no, I think that's bullshit. I think the MyPillow guy at this point is trying to sell pillows. And other people are eating it up. They're just, it's like the anonymous sources say that Donald Trump pisses the bed every night. Anonymous sources say that Donald Trump refers to the black janitor with racial epithets. It makes no sense. Let me see the sources. Let me see someone actually come forward and make these claims that Donald Trump says crazy shit, and then maybe I can believe them. But you're never going to get them because it's bullcrap. It never happened. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. I think once the assault weapon ban is found unconstitutional, the anti-gunners will go after handguns using gang violence arguments. That's going to be kind of difficult. They blew their load with rifles, so it's a problem. Also, then people would bring up race, and they would shut up real quick. Gun Jew. I'm Jewish. I like guns. I think we've been tricked into thinking globalism is a bad thing. It doesn't have to be. Their globalism wouldn't be a global enemy, require a global resistance. I came up with this on LSD. Well, it's good that you like guns. You should buy another one. Globalism, proto-globalism was meant to expand Western influence, liberty, literally, democracy. It was meant to do that. This is early Cold War. It didn't work. The problem is we brought Eastern Bloc countries out economically, but not socially. They're still authoritarian. If anything, we made the problem worse because we made our foes, their ideological foes, more powerful through globalism. We're still making the same mistake. And some of these people, they really aren't being malevolent. They're just being stupid. Most of them are malevolent. Some of them are just, morons. Red X Pen, I dare any of you to look into Stefan Molyneux's past. He encouraged teens to run away from home and had safe houses to live with his other cult members. I've heard of the Defu thing. I don't know enough about it, and I'm not going to judge the dude because I don't know the backstory. I'm not going to judge anyone if I don't know the situation. It's generally a bad idea, and then he cocksmacked. As far as I know, though, I think he's a cool dude. I've had good conversations with him. I don't have any problem with Molyneux. Adonis Adams, I struggle with developing my researching skills, mainly because I don't know where to start or look. Dealing with bad sources. Any advice? Well, I don't know whether you mean news or like literature or studying in general. If you mean news, remember to always use archive.today, by the way. Independent commentary online, especially through new tech sites. You just have to search. It can be a little bit daunting. And if you're talking about literature in general, use the Internet Archive. You can search for basically any book known to man is scanned there. Like it's the world's largest library. And I mean that literally. Opinionated junkie, right is infighting, but cleaning up themselves. Yes, exactly. The infighting of the right is resulting in actual progress. The infighting on the left is resulting in them devouring one another. That's the difference. This understanding is inverted if you watch CNN, by the way. Cold Summer 91. Do you still think we will be in a Spanish flu situation later this year or next year? It's impossible to say. It depends. It depends on if COVID was engineered to do so. If so, that's going to be a big problem, especially for people with certain types of prior exposure that I'm not allowed to mention on YouTube. Needle related, maybe. So I won't mention any more about that honk. Even if it's natural, though, it is possible. We saw this before. Nature can accomplish this, like with the Spanish flu, which really should be called the China flu because it came from China. Chinese rail workers introduced it in the state of Kansas, and then it spread from there, enters the trenches of World War I, mutates, actually, after being a pandemic, and then the next year kills 10-15% of all the youth. We could easily see that again. There's a reason why the Chinese canceled their two-child policy. Think about that for a moment and the ramifications. It's almost like they're planning for something. Jessica, hello to you and Liz from South Dakota. Love your work. Quick shout out to two great pro-America, pro-military, anti-com channels your fans will probably like. Ex-military criminal and American white guy. Okay, so there's a couple of channels there that you can check out. Thank you for them. Robert Mitchell, you should check out Color Chemistry if you haven't already. A synth metal duo from Houston. They think Sonata Arctica meets Metallica. They're killer. I think I might have actually heard of them. Yeah, so Color Chemistry, look that up as well. We're getting a lot of good recommendation comments today. To Human Centipede, condolences to your cards. Thinking about selling a few of mine, but not all. Would you be interested in trading me 1 Bitcoin for a Venusaur? Lol. Yeah, no, maybe 0.000001 or something Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't really do the trading card thing anymore. It's kind of, if you've got a collection, I can understand it's pretty cool. It's definitely, you shouldn't, lowball them, they are potentially valuable. I'm just thinking if you have a good collection, save it for your grandkids or something, and then 100 years from now, they make bank. Always got a plan for the future for your genetics. Attack Helicopter, showing support from Northeast Wisconsin. I listen to all your content on BitSlide. Hashtag Creek Squad. Hashtag Hangover Gain. Hashtag RHEC. Hashtag Hog. Well, thank you for that. Attack Helicopter, his pronoun. Cold Summer 91. Thoughts on Senate opposing ban on human chimeras? Could we possibly have Pinky in the Brain in real life situation? Yeah, I don't really have a problem with the idea of mixing animal DNA into humans to solve disease. The problem is it's going to go further. People are going to be using that for things that have nothing to do with resistance to disease, curing autoimmune disorders and stuff. They're gonna have designer babies just like in China, and have a bunch of people raised in test tubes that'll have high IQs but be totally psychologically screwed up. And in the end, a lot of them will kill themselves because of sadness, because they'll feel abnormal. The problem will solve itself once people realize how many psychological scarring issues there are with such research. But then a lot of those people will have suffered, and they're still people. It went away. Opinionated Junkie. I noticed people stopped buying Chinese food. Yeah, you should boycott China. Keep in mind, though, if you're at a Chinese restaurant locally owned or something, chances are there are people that left China for a reason. So you shouldn't punish them, unless you think they're communists or something. Always boycott communists. Let them be poor like they obviously want to be, because if there was communism, they would all be impoverished, eating cabbage and little else. The Grizzly. Oh, I forgot to mention in my earlier super chat. What do you think of Michigan's future under Whitler? Do you think she should be ousted if the momentum on the local level continues? Yes. And politicians should be ousted when they do shitty things. Whitmer is definitely one of them. Chill Penguin 64. I congratulate TonyFushi on his upcoming. I don't know if I can even read that word out. Yeah, it starts with an S and rhymes with brew a bride. Yeah, no, I don't think that'll happen. I think he'll have a golden parachute. He served his purpose. He introduced Faucism to the world with all of the masturbators. So, he served his purpose. He was a good little poop butt, good little boy. He did just what he was told. Just like he did what Obama told him when they were in the Wuhan lab, almost a decade ago, overseeing things. I actually caught up with all of the super chats. That usually doesn't happen. That's a breath of fresh air. Yeah, it's probably YouTube throttling the stream again, probably. But yeah, what I would say is this with Fauci. He should be fired. He's coming under increased scrutiny even from liberal media. But they're doing it mainly because they're worried about it affecting Biden. They're worried because he's supposed to be the fall guy, sort of the intermediary who takes the blame. The idea is that Biden was VP when the Obama admin helped to construct the Wuhan lab. They were the ones that helped the Chinese to develop the protocol. Keep in mind, that was the first time that China ever had a level 4 biolab. The American government, under Obama, helped to inform that. They obviously failed. They obviously screwed up. And that would reflect badly on Beijing Biden because he was VP at the time. It may not be his fault directly, but optically it would be a fail. They're still putting out push polls claiming that Biden's at 60% approval. There are people who actually believe it. It's morons. Mark Gouache, what do you intuit regarding the U.S. and West's relationship with China? Do you expect a hot war with China? I don't think nuclear powers can really go into a hot war with one another. I think it'll be, if anything, an economic war. The world should condemn China completely, blockade them off, and threaten them and say, basically, your entire government needs to step down. We're going to go in and disarm you and destroy the biolab, get rid of your nukes and stuff because you're too dangerous to have them, obviously. Unfortunately, because the United States is run by a Chinese asset, that's obviously not going to happen. But even Biden has had to, at least in a mild way, go after the Chinese ideologically. Even he's had to pretend that he's going to do something about it. Animander Rake, as a species, we are taking our first tentative steps into the universe. Won't a one-world government be a necessity soon? No. We're not going anywhere. We don't have the technology. I think that would be the worst of all possible situations, because at that point, there's nowhere to escape to, and that becomes the problem. You see them trying to meander themselves into a situation where they can make an argument for that. But keep in mind, we've already got globalism. So, I mean, we may not have one world government on paper, but we have one in the de facto sense. It already exists. It's just constrained on the local and national level in a million different ways, which is a good thing. They're steadily trying to undermine that, though, which is why we need to be on our guard. Cold Summer 91. I've actually been to Taiwan. It is a great country and a much better country than China will ever be. Yeah, that's because they're not communists. The same exact stock of people. The only difference is the economic situation. Why is it that Taiwan was so developed even a few decades after inception and China still largely is third world for the most part? There's no human development out in the hinterlands of China. In Inner Mongolia, I mean, Outer Mongolia, Tibet. Well, Tibet, the problem there is that they keep killing people. The Uyghur Muslims. The Human Centipede. Forgot to say good to Human Centipede creations last week. Your Fallout skills showed. Here's a bonus centipede create from Dorsey, Zuckerberg, and Jinping. Pretty Lips Co. 2020. Hi, Styx. Tell me something good. Is there any hope for America, or should I start packing for Mars? Oh, there's plenty of hope for America. I think that we're just barely entering the American century. We're going through growing pains right now. We're shedding globalism. They're in battle. You don't lash out when you're feeling good. You lash out when you're worried. Why do you think that they're banning a bunch of people? Why do you think they took the unprecedented step of silencing the president of the United States? Because they're afraid. They're terrified because they realize that if people realize how much better populism is, it'll win. And then they'll lose some of their money. Wow. The rich people will lose more money. Oh, my God. Redx Pen, I'm sorry, but I got to stress. Look into Stéphane Malnou. He might be cool now, but I was one of his many impressionable teen victims at one point. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sorry if you are, but I just don't know anything more about the situation. I don't really go into that sort of stuff. I just see him as a creator who's done political content, especially social commentary, who got banned, who got censored. If he has a dark past, that doesn't really involve his current commentary, in my opinion. James Leswing, do you think Trump will propose a flat tax rate in 2024 or a fair tax like a lot of the red states? It'd be nice. It'd be a good idea. But I mean, the thing is, if Trump gets back in there, he'll need a legislature comprised of America Firsters as opposed to neocons. He'll need the Republicans to be cleansed far further. He needs more Rand Pauls and DeSantis's and less of the Mitt Romneys and Liz Cheney's, basically. Buttfucker 3000, I signed a petition to recall mine Governor Whitler last year. What's the likelihood that I'll end up in a CC someday? Who knows? Yeah, but Whitmer is a moron. Joe Biden's dentures. Media is pushing the term vaccinated American. Yes, and also vaccine hesitant, which are newspeak. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Basically, I mean, there's anti-vaxxers. That's a real category. But then you've got people like me that are generally pro-vaccine that will be called vaccine hesitant simply because of our views on the FDA or on mandatory vaccines or on COVID passports, which don't even have to do with the vaccine itself. And it's all a bunch of propagandistic bullcrap. SRM, the CCP mouthpiece, the Global Times threatened nuclear war because of the Wuhan facts. China going the way of North Korea? No, they're a sane actor. It's just hyperbole. And the Global Times does that anyway. Haven't they threatened nuclear war a bunch of other times? Carl Tuckerson. Good day, sir. Picking up our RV for a little trip this week with the family. And I was wondering if you and Liz were planning on having kids. Well, that's personal business. That sort of thing I don't really talk about online. That and basically home life in general, other than gardening and my employ, which is here, I don't really bring that up. Because, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with my work. Kenneth West. In video on wokeness at Google, you said companies cared only about money, but these policies clearly hurt, e.g. Disney. Look, there's more to it. Who are so powerful to impose it on companies, and why do it? Well, that's the thing. You get reach around money too. So the wokeness may come at a cost in the front, but then you get brownie points with the lame establishmentarians who will help you out, especially in legal terms and with taxes. So it's still a kickback. It's just more indirect. Hydrogen 1, fake vaccine papers and passport. Is it worth the legal risks? My understanding is that if it does not use the seal of a U.S. bureau, like the FDA, it is not illegal. But the disclaimer, I'm not saying that. That's my understanding, my own anecdote. The reason why these fake vaccine COVID cards are illegal is because they have the logo of the FDA and they have their motto and they say FDA on them. They're masquerading as official government documents. If they were doctored so that they had a different acronym that wasn't governmental and the seal was not the proper seal and the logo said fuck you or something, my understanding is that it's no longer a federal crime. But I'm not telling you that that's a safe idea or that that's legally true. That's just my understanding. That being said, no, I wouldn't risk going to federal prison for a fake COVID vaccine card. I just wouldn't put myself in a situation where I needed to be vaccinated. Opinionated junkie. Nigeria needs to play the race card. I would. Yeah, that'd be a cool idea. Twitter is racist. They hate Africans because they're trying to block out the Nigerian government. They're just massively racist. Bunch of Nazis. Aliza Besmenisham. Thanks for your clip about not supporting Palestine or Israel. Libertarian Party sweetheart Scott Horton promotes anti-Zionism that spills into Jew hatred. I recommend your clip as a libertarian view. Yeah, my view is it's none of my business or anyone else's. Well, let them I mean, they were shooting each other for hundreds of years, and before that, killing each other by other methods. Even long before Judaism existed, long before there was a Palestine or an Israel or anything like that, people in that region, because of trade lines, were already at war constantly. Opinionated junkie. Biden to boost vaccinations at hubs of activity and information for Black and brown communities, citing local beauty shops, barber shops, and stylists. Oh, I hope that's really true, because that would be hilariously inept. Yeah, the barber shop, by the way, very funny thing. You should look that up. Look up barber shop with Al Sharpton. He was complaining about that back in the day. The Grizzly. If you want to answer one more, what do you think of Hollywood and China having any real impact, or will they just always be puppets? They have an impact on culture and stuff. Less these days, because you have independent content creation competing with Hollywood, and China's a paper dragon. Red Pill 859. I've been subbed to your channel for 5 years. Love your content. Just wanted to say hi and thank you from the Orwellian UK. Well, thank you very much. Here's to 5 more years. Clank, clank. Libertum arbitrium. Is the U.S. always determined to have fixed elections? What are special elections that you have? How do they compare with UK by-elections? Usually that's like if no one gets a clear-cut majority in some situations, they do a runoff. And so in a runoff, because there's only 2 people, one of them automatically has the majority over the other as a percentile. I think that's basically the only way it happens. After a recall, I think there are special elections too. I think it mainly depends on the state, however. Mark Gouache, do vaccines actually cause autism? The answer is no, they do not. The fact is that the rise in autism rates is the result of overdiagnosis. Just like with ADHD. ADHD exists, but every other kid is diagnosed with it so that they can sell pills because the pharma companies are greedy. The same thing with autism. Everyone's on the spectrum these days. All you have to do is expand the meaning of the autism spectrum, and all of a sudden you've got so many autism cases. It's just like when you tell little kids, hey, the fact that you're a tomboy, therefore you're basically transgendered. Oh, I wonder why transgendered rates are rising. Jacob Hill. G'day, Styx. I'm in lockdown in Melbourne. Over 170 days since March 2020. Thanks for helping me not blow my brains out throughout this bullshit. Yeah, do you even have guns to be able to do that there? You have to use like a crossbow or something like that. I'm glad that you like the content. Much more to come. JD 1989. Hey, Styx, do you think Tim Pool is a fearmonger? No, I don't think that he's a fearmonger. I think that he brands himself as creators have to do, and he benefits by that. I think there's some hyperbole in his titling and stuff sometimes, but who cares? Mick Adams. Hey, from Melbourne in our 4th lockdown. Are those cans full or empty? And do you get to do any gardening over there? Maybe in the future. Right now there's a little bit of a deck jungle going on, like literally loaded with plants. Those are full cans. Those are not just for display. Those are also a stash of caffeine. It's necessary. It's basically my idea of a fusion core. I need it to function. You should see the fridge, how much caffeine's in there. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. U.S. should annex Temple Mount and open to public. Yes, the United States should annex both Israel and Palestine. We've already bought and paid for the land 10 times now. We should just take it. We should just occupy the whole fucking region and create a one-state solution. Literally a U.S. state. We'll just call it Judea or something like that. We'll give it a more historical name. Why not? It'd be a lot more peaceful. People's kids can sleep at night without worrying about rockets falling through their roofs. Wouldn't it be better for everyone? Apple Mania Gaming. To all my bros in Melbourne, you don't have to wear a mask if you have a medical exemption. You're also not required to provide proof of it. Yeah, this can be the case in some areas. I think that you actually sent that twice. So thanks for the second 15 Australian dollars. I think. Yeah, there's two. There's definitely two. Yeah, you might want to rescind one. I think you accidentally sent it twice. I'll be fair and warn you. The Human Centipede. A little overdue, but did you get a good laugh from the U.S. Census report? I'm happy California lost a congressional seat. That's called voting with your feet. Yeah, they lost a seat because everyone moved to Texas. And watch, Texas didn't go blue. No, they went for Trump by 3.5 points, and that's after the fortifying of the election, so no problem. Cold Summer 91. When do you think we will have another spiritual awakening? My money is on sometime around the 2050s. Well, we're having one now, actually. The internet has definitely upped the availability of spiritual literature, which is something that I myself helped promulgate, and it's had a big impact. I've sold almost 130,000 paperbacks on Amazon, and I'm just one person. I can't even imagine about like mainline companies and stuff. They have more of a mechanical, quicker, more efficient setup. It must be a huge, huge number of books. Although mine are properly edited, so it takes a little bit longer. Apple Mania Gaming. We have over 3.5 million registered guns in Australia. Now you just need about 50 million more. Then you'll be on a per capita basis with the United States. And I'm actually keeping up, for the first time, I think I'm actually keeping up with the super chats. I'm proud of myself. And 1,600 people watching, so it's not that YouTube is screwing me extra hard. It's only screwing me at normal levels, chocolate style. I don't understand all the Tim Pool hate. I really don't. I don't agree with him all the time. Certainly not on the Andy No thing, but I don't think he's a bad person or anything. He's offered to have me on his show and shit like that. I mean, I would do that if I were in the United States. Eric Fry. When are you ever going to tell us about your Mario Kart sex party game? No. Mario Kart 64 was the pinnacle of that. Everything after that, I don't even know if there's a modern Mario Kart, but I wouldn't play it. Give me the old school gaming for old school titles. It's like if they did Ogre Battle 64 and tried to make a modern one, it'd probably be woke. It'd be bullshit. Oh my God, the ogres aren't allowed to be that color. They might send the wrong message. They have to be Snow White. They have to be albino ogres. Opinionated Junkie. Bob Iger dumps Disney stocks. Yeah, I would be dumping my Disney stocks too. Oh wait, I never would have bought them in the first place. Seriously, it's not the 90s anymore. They're not exactly making talented movies these days. Miranda Monaghan. Will you move back to the U.S. at some point? Maybe. Again, anything that regards, especially logistics, but personal life in general, I just don't remark on. I don't think that it has anything to do with the normal work that I do. I know some people are interested in that. I mean, I'm not blaming anyone for being so. I'm interested in some of the goings-ons with other creators too. But I tend to be kind of a personal person. I tend to be a little private about things. It just works better that way. Work and personal life should be mutually exclusive. Joseph Versleys. Hi, Styx. Are you aware of what's been going on with Alex Belfield and the BBC witch hunting him here in the UK? Worth looking into, if not. Coffee clank. No, actually, I've never heard of any of that. I'm assuming the BBC witch hunts after everyone these days, so it wouldn't surprise me. Thomas Lawson. Any recommendations for entry-level occult literature? Yes, get Occultism for Beginners by William Dower. That's a theosophical work. Get The Black Arts by Richard Cavendish. That's an interest. And the Book of Ceremonial Magic by A.E. Waite. W-A-I-T-E. If you get those, and the Necronomicon is a good idea, even if it's not, entirely authentic, just because it's fun. You can also get, if you go to my books blogs, the Tarl Warwick Books blogspot or WordPress, I offer over 300 different editions. In fact, I think 323 was the one that I updated today, if I remember correctly. 10 whole categories, which I got to split. Technically, I got like 30 categories worth now. Pretty much everything that you could want. And you can get those. And all of those, by the way, are properly hand-edited as opposed to being like scans or something. Some shysters take original scans and they sell those with a new cover. I don't do that. I don't fly that way. Neanderthal. More seldom than not, the movies gives us exquisite sex and wholesome violence that underscores our values. Every two child did. I will. Yeah, I think I get the basic gist of what you mean. That is true, though. Yeah, movies, basically, they're talentless swill these days. All they can do is show you nudity and blood. And that's great if it's a horror movie. Those aren't supposed to be talented. They're supposed to be like Jason 5 or Evil Dead. WOF Hornet. Styx, Pennsylvania just gave a pair of middle fingers to their governors by voting in a pair of amendments drastically limiting his power during emergencies. Excellent. It's good to hear. Yeah, Pennsylvania is one of the good ones. Hong Kong, their election results were totally unimpeachable. Buttfucker 3000, 3.5 million. U.S. has more guns than they think exist, but can't track them. Most countries have registered. America, get on our freedom level. Yeah, I think there might be 3.5 million guns in Vermont. It's more than I think most of the world's militaries combined. And it's a good thing, but it's still not enough. We need more guns. I want to get a 357, like a 1911 style. That's definitely on my purchase list. A Banshee pistol, by the way. Those, have you seen those? Christ. Tony Savage, you should do a Viva Barnes interview. Never heard of them, but yeah, I'll keep that in mind. They can contact me on Twitter through DM if they're there. John Doe, of course Hollywood has an impact. They impact half of our friends and relatives that are complete sheeple zombies. What's your take on 9/11, Styx? 9/11 was an inside joke. Good song, by the way. I can't say much more than that. Do I trust the official story? Only in part. Yes, it was the result of Osama and crazy zealots. Was it deliberately ignored that there was intel beforehand that it could happen? Yeah. Was it used as an excuse to bomb countries and world police? Yeah, unfortunately. More people would still be alive if we had thrown out Bush. Fucking W. Slayer Sigma Zeta, are you into Lovecraft? If so, what's your favorite story? I like all of them. I'm going to be basic bitch and say Mountains of Madness, just because it's one of the longer ones. The audiobook for that, by the way, very, very good. But yeah, I'm into Lovecraft. That's definitely for rainy days. One of them, I think it was Wander in Darkness, I think, takes place largely in Vermont, actually, in places that I've physically been, not far from where I lived as a kid. Eric Fry, why is Initiation into Hermetics by Franz Barden not on the list, or Summoning Spirits by Konstantinos? Well, you can add them to the list. I'm just giving a very basic, broad overview. I think Occultism for Beginners by Dower, if you're into the theosophical side of the mystic, is basically the best. And Black Arts and Ceremonial Magic by Cavendish and Wade, they're just sort of basic, broad overviews. If you're looking for very basic literature, those would be the big three, at least for me. I know there were some of the early works that I read. By the way, we're coming up on the hour, so people, if you could not please send any more super chats, because I still got to get through these ones here. The Judas Priest, good morning, Styx. You were right on the UFO report. Inconclusive and a waste of time. Yeah, it always will be. It's a distraction. It's just bull crap. It says, remember, when the magician is waving one hand here, the other one is the one doing the trick behind his back. That's what I think about the UFO report. It's horse shit, including under Trump. When he was talking about it, I don't know exactly what he's trying to distract from, but it was a distraction. Crystal, just got here, so I don't know if you answered this already or not, but I was curious what your thoughts on Matt Walsh trolling AOC this week was. Yes, I did a new tech exclusive. By the way, you should join me on links in the description, of course. BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, or Daily Motion. It's on all four of those sites. I thought it was funny. It's hilarious. To anyone that's not aware, AOC was ranting about her abuela, her grandmother, living in squalor in Puerto Rico because Trump misappropriated funds. Now, actually, it was the Puerto Rican government's fault and the local government's fault, of course. So that part's bullshit. But then Matt Walsh said, okay, we'll have a fundraiser. We'll get her 100 grand. And so made a bunch of money. And then AOC, I believe, is the one that contacted GoFundMe to say she won't accept the money, take the thing down, basically sour grapes. And it's like people were ranting about how AOC was a hypocrite. And I do think she is, because she was trying to use the squalor of her grandmother for political gain, and then wouldn't help her herself. Of course, she lives in a penthouse, has a 6-figure salary and the Tesla and stuff. I did point out, however, I've got to defend her in one minor way, which is that it is not her responsibility to pay for her abuela to upgrade her living situation. But why the fuck would you, if someone offered me 6 figures, I wouldn't care if Jared Holt was the one running the fundraiser. Hell yeah, I'll take your money. I'm sure abuela would have as well, but AOC shot it down. And I was thinking the real scandal here is, how can AOC cancel a GoFundMe fundraiser that's for another person simply because it's a member of her family? Doesn't even make sense, because apparently that's what happened. Bizarre. Chuck Flea, thoughts on motorcycle clubs, not Hell's Angels. No, they're fine. I've never ridden a motorcycle. I can't even ride a bicycle. Probably kill myself. Jocko Lantern, ahoy from the capital of Wyoming. Got my coffee and spoon in hand for the glory and caffeination of clankdom. You can have the stagflation greenbacks. I officially pitched in for AOC's abuela. Yeah, that's definitely a running joke at this point. Again, please don't send any more super chats because I'm trying to get through these before the hour. Mark Walsh, what is your position on left libertarianism? Doesn't exist. Leftist economics is automatically authoritarian in nature because it requires centrality, no matter how well-meaning it may be. Mikkelvo, hey Styx, what's your opinion on current price inflation of basic materials, wood, iron, etc.? In my opinion, it will transform current stagflation into inflation soon. P.S. Have you tried Kenshi yet? Years. No, I haven't. And actually, I think that the price will stay high. I think the price will stay high because the energy sector is being attacked by the President of the United States. Again, in asterisk. Sabatai Zevi, can you explain as above, so below with Greek mythology? Yes, it's based, and by the way, as below, so above. The idea is that the created is the reflected of the creator, basically, the reflection of it. In a nutshell, the idea is, well, and with Greek mythology, it's extra special because, of course, the gods basically are humans. They just happen to be immortal and stuff. They go about their business. They have affairs. They kill people. They go to war. All these other things. It's a direct representation of the human, and vice versa. The human is a direct representation of the deified, if you want to go down that route philosophically. Levi Shalom. Hey, Styx, happy Sunday. How many push-ups can you do? I don't know. I don't really do push-ups. If I want to work out, I just go for a walk. I walk all over hell. It's really great. There's a nice green spot right next to this neighborhood, like a little dog walking area next to the tram line, of course. Great Cthulhu. Hey, Styx, old Gen Xer here, frustrated with the current cultural climate. Do you see a foreseeable future where the woke grift ceases to infiltrate milk fiction canon, Lord of the Rings, etc.? Patagon. Yes, it will. All things must come to pass, and all things must pass. It's just another cultural thing. People get through it, and every generation wants to be woke and progressive. Anyway, I've got literature from 100 years ago talking about, oh, we need to be culturally progressive. We're literally using the term progressives and stuff for stuff that now would be considered evil, bigoted, and genocidal. It was considered progress at the time. Technology, yeah, the steamship was real progressive when the steamship was new, wasn't it? All things, nothing ever changes. The same principles are recycled over and over with new technology. Aliza Vesmenichim, I think a trend towards productive, moral people having children and giving them siblings builds character, and parents get the hang of it when family expands into a team. Your thoughts? Yeah, that's a good point. Not much more to say. Yeah, I think people definitely need to start having some kids, especially if they think that there's a genocide against their ethnicity or something. Well, have an extra kid. But by the way, try telling that to a white nationalist and they'll freak out. They'll spurg and go, oh my God, how am I supposed to have a kid? Can't even get a date. Bailey Robb, I'm from Bradford, Yorkshire. I am surrounded by the consequences of multiculturalism, cultural segregation. I am called ignorant by know-nothings. Yeah, it seems to be fairly common. It's always a problem in urban areas anyway. Keep in mind, urban areas, you get a little bit biased because they generally have higher crime. there will be more segregation and alienation in an urban climate. Whereas if you go to a small town like in the US, even if there's like diversity there, nobody gives a shit. Like I was the token Anglo-Saxon when I was down in southern Texas in Weslaco. I think I might have been the only person that wasn't Hispanic in the entire block. I never experienced any problems. Technically, I was diversifying the neighborhood. I was gentrifying things, I guess, according to the SPLC. That's their term for white people moving in, apparently, and that's not even hyperbolic. That's not even an exaggeration. So yeah, I'm going to end this because we are now exactly on the hour. Perfect timing, by the way. I've had fun with this. I'm going to try to do this regularly every Sunday. I've thought about the Saturday show, which is more of a news wrap up. The problem with that is I feel like if I do the Saturday show and then the Sunday show, like on Saturday, sometimes people got mad because they'd send super chats and sometimes I'd respond to them, but sometimes I couldn't because it just goes too fast. I'm doing like news wrap ups and I end up ranting, and it's sort of like basically just my normal videos. So I think I'll probably just stick with the Sunday show each week. If I do a Saturday show or an impromptu live stream, it's probably because there's something really important. So that's sort of what I'm going to do. Anyways, that is about all. Peace out.